Hello. You just get in a little more. You can get closer to me. I don't smell. My breath smells.
Okay.
Hello, Facebook world. We are here to talk about mental health and infertility. So Hannah has been very awesome. Of course, TJ's the first to join.
Oh, yay.
She is super awesome, and she's going to be talking about her journey and her experience with not being able to do something that she wanted to do, and the end result, which most of you that are friends with her know ended on a happy ending.
Yeah.
So I first off wanted to ask, when did you first know that you wanted kids?
I always knew my family. I have a really big family, and family's always been something that's really been important to me. And I kind of took it for granted. I always thought that it would be easy, so I never really gave it a whole lot of thought. But I just always knew that I wanted kids because I have a big family, and I want to.
When you were around,
yeah, and I have lots and lots of cousins. I only have one sister, but we go and have breakfast with my grandparents every Saturday. Family is really important to me. So continuing that and having my own family was always really important to me.
Yeah, and just kind of carrying on the
Yeah, it was never a switch that went off. It's just always something that it was I'm
you
gonna
knew
have kids.
You didn't know any different.
Yeah, it was always my plan.
And so the part when you said it's I just thought it was easy, I understand that because in high school or whenever people started thinking about having sex, everyone's scared shitless to get pregnant. And because you see maybe people in your high school or people that that are super young, they get pregnant and it was just something that was just so easy.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, you have people that really want to get pregnant and it's this is the time, this is when I want to do it, and nothing happens, and it's kind of oh, I thought everyone warned me what not to do.
Yeah.
So
it's almost confusing. A lot of my school, I bounced around from schools a lot whenever I was throughout all my schooling, but a big portion of my schooling I went to Catholic school, and I didn't always get a whole lot of information on sex. I didn't get a lot of sex education. So the main thing that I took away from it growing up was kind of be afraid of it. You need to be concerned because if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. So once I got married and I wanted that, then I was okay, just have sex and get pregnant.
Right.
And then that's not how it worked out.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Side note, I hope that schools go back to educating kids about sex.
I think understanding the process would have helped me a lot. I personally have an issue with anxiety, and when I don't understand something, I have an issue with my anxiety turning into obsessive thoughts. It's I cannot navigate my brain away from something if I don't understand it, and if it's something that triggers my anxiety, then I obsess about it. And
no, it makes sense.
So
yeah, no, I think more people need to know. Oh, Miles and TJ are watching.
Hi, Tyler.
So when did you and TJ realize that you wanted to start trying?
Well, I was ready a year into being with TJ, and he took a little bit more convincing. So basically once he got on track with his career, and that's whenever he became more open to actively trying. Which was 2016, I think, is whenever. So whenever you say trying, whenever you're in whenever you're talking to someone who's dealing with infertility, trying means lots of different things. So for the medical community, trying means having regular unprotected sex.
So when, I guess, because I want to go through from start to finish, kind of your whole journey. So I'll just hand it over to you to kind of start from the beginning, when you were trying, and then when you were trying, and kind of go from that.
Yeah. So about 4 years ago is whenever I like stopped trying to prevent it, which medically is considered whenever you're trying is having regular unprotected sex. In my mind, that wasn't like trying because it was just, you're just going about your business.
Yeah, if it happens, it happens. Yeah,
exactly. But about a year into that, once TJ got officially hired on at his job and was no longer like in his like probationary period, we started actively trying. And to me, that meant, okay,
ovulation.
Tracking ovulation. And then as it got more intense, you buy ovulation tests that you pee on, and it turned blue, so that means we have to have sex tonight, which is weird. Super fun.
Yeah.
It's not. Okay, and after about a year of that, I went and saw my normal doctor at a like my well woman visit for the year, and I had mentioned it, and they said, okay, well, now that you've been trying for this long, we'll give you, it's a drug called Clomid, which basically it's like a Red Bull for your ovaries. It was just like,
were you kind of nervous taking that?
I wasn't, because I wanted it to happen. So
so you were just like, give me anything.
Yeah, I was like, just make it happen. And once we started taking the Clomid, they'll only give you three doses of it. They'll only give you three, at least my doctor will. They'll only give you 3 months worth of it, because if you don't get pregnant after a year of it trying and then 3 months of Clomid, then odds are there's a more intense issue that you need to see a specialist for.
Okay.
So we did the Clomid. I didn't do it every single month because it actually puts kind of a strain on your relationship. Mostly because if you're taking these drugs, then you have to have intercourse at a specific day at a specific time, and it puts a lot of pressure, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of pressure on your relationship. So we would do 1 month and then take a month off, because I would be kind of a psycho about it.
I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
And it also puts a lot of pressure on your partner, because it's like you have to be able to be like, okay, you're on deck, let's go. Like, you got to get your shit ready, and you have like, and it's not that easy sometimes, most of the time. No,
and also it's like, a lot of times people are like, oh, you get to have lots of sex, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And in reality, that's not the case. It's not, maybe in the beginning it's fun, but like, after
you've gone through like a year,
it turns into pressure. It doesn't turn into fun.
Yeah, and then also you have just to go on top of that, you have people saying, when are y'all gonna have kids? When are you gonna? Which is not a thing that you should ask anybody.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, don't ask people. Okay.
If you're truly curious and it's someone you care about and you're close with, I recommend asking, do you want kids?
In private.
That way it opens up the conversation and be like, yeah, I do, but we're having some trouble, whatever. It gives them a way to actually open up to you, and not just like dismissively saying, here's more pressure, and if you're not sad about something, here's something to be sad about.
Yeah.
I understand that that's not what people aim to do, but ultimately it made me feel sad. It made me really sad whenever people would ask me, when are you having kids? And I'm like, well, soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it's like I would have had kids, 6 months ago if I could, but it's like, some things don't agree, which is super understandable. So we left off with the
Clomid, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so after 3 months of after the 3 times of trying Clomid and it's still not being successful, what happened for me was actually, you told me that you were pregnant. And I was really happy for you, but I was very sad for me.
Yeah. I was scared to tell you.
No, and
honestly.
And that's not, I don't ever want anyone to ever feel like they can't tell me, because I will always share in your joy of being pregnant. But that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, is if you have a friend who's struggling with fertility, or even if you don't know that for sure, if they aren't pregnant and you get the vibe that maybe they would want to be, it's not that people aren't happy, they're not happy for you whenever you're pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like, I was happy for you, but I was also really sad for myself.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
After you had Zane,
and you told all the kids that they were ugly?
I said that all the babies in the hospital that were not Zane were trash compared to him because he was so beautiful.
I enjoyed that.
Zane is still an excellent baby. I love him. Okay, so after you had Zane, me and TJ went to go see a type of specialist called a reproductive endocrinologist, which a lot of people will know as like an IVF doctor. And the thing is, they don't just do IVF. So what they do is they will they focus on the hormones that allow you to get pregnant and your reproductive system. So we went and spoke with them and told them about everything that we had been doing and trying and how long we had tried. And once we met with him, he gave me my statistics. So most people, like anyone who's not dealing with fertility issues, if you're less than 35, within a year, if you've been having regular unprotected sex, 85% of those people will wind up pregnant at the end of that year. And then most other people will result in pregnancy within 6 months after that first year. So at any point, at any month, most people have a 20% chance of getting pregnant. Just if you're having
read a lot about this.
Yes. But for me, my statistics were 5%. I had a 5% chance of achieving pregnancy on my own. So that was hard to hear. And
so up until this point, like talking about like the financial part of it, which also puts stress on a relationship.
Yeah.
Like at this point, had y'all already like spent a lot, or did it not get until like?
Honestly, most of the money spending was just like on like monthly pregnancy tests, spending money on ovulation tests. I spent some money on Clomid, but that was like $20 prescription.
Oh, okay.
Like most of the stuff at this point, up until this point.
Because some things it can cost a good amount.
Yeah, up until now it had been pretty negligible, but getting to the reproductive endocrinologist, my insurance didn't cover it. So,
which is a whole nother conversation and pisses me off. Thanks, government.
Yeah. But so they broke it down for me and they said I had multiple options. There's different tiers like of intensity of intervention that can happen for you.
Okay.
There's different levels of IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, where it's lower than IVF. So the IVF is here, and then IVF with surrogacy is here, or a donated embryo or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was on the lower end of the tier, what they were going to start suggesting. And so I went through IUI, which each round of it, me and TJ talked about it, and we decided to do the most aggressive form of IUI, which involved me going in every other day for an ultrasound to monitor how my ovaries were producing eggs.
That's a lot of time.
Yes, and you have to pay for every session that you go. So it's a lot. And each session is like $200. And then on top of the regular sonograms, I had to take shots in my stomach every day from a certain day of my cycle up until ovulation, which works out to be around.
Were they uncomfortable shots, or was it something that didn't really...
I don't have an issue with needles, but someone who is afraid of needles would not handle that well.
I just can't believe how much it is, and that you have to go every other day. Like that right there could count a lot of people out.
Wait till we get to the good part.
Oh, there's more.
Okay, so actually, we started this whole process a year ago tomorrow because it was Super Bowl Sunday. Wow. And I didn't go to the Super Bowl party because I had to give myself my first shot. And I wanted to be at home for that.
Yeah.
So we went through our first round of it, which the whole round generally costs about $4,000. with the drugs and the ultrasounds. And before they'll even let you do this, you have to do all these tests. You have to get genetic testing done. They'll test your blood.
Yeah.
They'll take a look at your ovaries to see, like,
so it's do you feel like your privacy was invaded? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like, that's another thing. It's like you're like, just take everything and here.
I felt like at the end of the beginning of the process, I felt like I had no dignity left. Because
on top of not having,
because I felt like I lost my dignity because I couldn't do something that I wanted so bad that it felt like everyone else was able to do, like fall on a log. Like it was really easy for a lot of people
sitting on the toilets.
Yeah.
You can get pregnant by bathrooms, you know. Just kidding.
But it felt like I had no dignity because just to get to the process, you have to do blood tests. They have to look at your ovaries to make sure it's working right and that you have the correct
to make sure that there's nothing that's rolled out.
Well, also one of the tests that they wound up having to do was checking out if your fallopian tubes are open. Which the way they do that is they basically put you under a machine that works similarly to an X-ray. They'll pump you with they'll put iodine into your uterus until it's overflowing and it's so full that it shoots through your fallopian tubes. And it's the most painful thing I've ever been through. Mind you, I have been through labor, I've had a baby, and I've also had boobs that were leaking milk and they hurt so bad and the milk wouldn't go away. The tube test was worse. It hurt. It was an unnatural pain. So got to go through all of that.
That's fun.
I started my first round of IUI, shots in the stomach. And as I'm going through the process to get my sonograms done, about 11 days into my cycle, 9 days into my cycle, they did an ultrasound. They're like, okay, everything's looking good. You're developing some eggs the way you're supposed to. And that was on a Friday. And I go in for my appointment on a Monday. And I had lost all of my eggs. So that was the hardest day of this whole process.
Is that when you came over?
Yeah. So basically, we found out that my issue was that I have an issue with ovulating too early. And which is good, I'm releasing eggs, but those eggs are immature and they're not at a size that could be fertilized. But it was really upsetting because I had spent all this money to get help. Yeah. And I had gone through a pretty painful process to get help with achieving pregnancy. And it was just all for nothing. It felt like I was back at square one. But so I had a really hard day that day. So I wound up calling my work and just telling them that I couldn't come in that day because I couldn't be around. I just couldn't. And I called Molly. I called you and said that I can't be alone right now. So can I please come over?
Which is very smart. I'm glad that you did that.
So that was really hard. But luckily, it wasn't like the end of all of this because I had chosen, it's called Dallas IVF. If you need a reproductive endocrinologist, go see Dr. Koo at Dallas IVF because whenever they could see how upset I was and they know I'm a public school teacher. I don't have a whole lot of money. They wound up donating enough samples of the medicine to me to do another trial, to do another round of IUI. And I just had to be able to get to the appointments and pay for the appointments. And on that next one, I was able to get pregnant and maintain it in half miles. So if the biggest thing is, I would recommend if you're having a hard time to go see a professional, go talk to someone, because waiting and trying for 3 years, it might mean a difference of getting pregnant or not. Whereas if you say, hey, I'm having a hard time, go see someone. Yeah. That really helped.
Yeah. And you know, talked about it putting a lot of stress on, I mean, both of you guys, but as a real, like, your relationship in general. And, I had a friend reach out to me when I posted that we were doing this Facebook Live, and she shared a little bit about her journey and was so thankful that Hannah's, willing to share her story, because this is a real thing. And, in her case, it did not end in a happy place, and she couldn't get pregnant, and it ended up in divorce, because there are some people out there that are just wanting to have children, and sometimes they don't have the patience, or you don't have a strong bond like you and TJ have to push through it, or they did, just it wasn't there, and it's hard, and a lot of us don't realize that. And I think sometimes, like, actually, I've said this before. I never wanted kids. It's like I knew I was complete opposite of you. Yeah. Didn't have a big family. Wasn't around kids. Mainly around dogs. So I mean, that's what I have. But I woke up one day and was like, man, I'm healthy. I have all these eggs, and I'm not doing anything with them. And there's an incentive, money, but also this is so selfish of me. So, there are places where you can donate your eggs. It is a process. And, I got selected, actually. There was someone that picked my profile, and they called me, but I was living in Florida at the time, so I couldn't come to Dallas and do all the treatments and stuff. But, I mean, am I glad I didn't do it? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm fine either way. But I think that a lot of people take for granted what their body is capable of. I mean, really, in any situation, but mainly this one. And, people think, it's hard because as women, we're made, it's like we are put on this earth to make babies. I mean, that's kind of like how it feels, but it's not the case. Yeah. But when your body can't do it, I can't imagine. And I'm so happy that y'all got through it, because I wasn't there, but it's like from afar, I could see.
Molly was one of my biggest support people throughout this whole thing. Like, TJ's number one, but Molly was number two. Her house was on the way home from the fertility clinic.
That was convenient. I was at a convenient location at the right time.
Like a gas station.
Yeah. But, it was humbling to me. I don't know, I mean, that's the right word, but just to see it from another perspective. I just can't imagine. And honestly, thinking about it, putting myself in your shoes, because I didn't have the drive and the want for kids that much. And side note, not that this fucking matters, but Zane wasn't an accident. I mean, I wanted him, just to be clear, but if I had to go through that, I don't think that it would have been really hard. Yeah. And you think of the alternative, like adoption, which is, yes, I want your opinion on that.
Okay. Adoption is great. Don't tell your friends who are going through fertility issues to adopt. That's not cool, because it is a legitimate path to parenthood. And I 100% support anyone who thinks that is their path. But that's a path that people need to come to on their own. And saying that, okay, you can't get pregnant, so you should adopt, and you shouldn't go through all these fertility treatments. It's no one told you should go adopt. It's like people take for granted that getting pregnant was I biologically wanted to be pregnant. I wanted to give birth to a child. I'm not saying
because it's you. It's something.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't want to adopt, but that's something that those people should come to on their own.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I never really thought of it that way. And I think really people that are watching this, that not necessarily because they've experienced this or going through this, but it's also educational, because I'm sure there's someone out there that that either is newly married and trying to have kids, or maybe having an issue. And that's a really good point. Like, don't just throw adoption at them. I mean, that's a lot. It's another financial situation.
Absolutely, and it's not attainable for everyone. It's an expensive and it's a rigorous process. And if you have issues with mental health, it'll make it harder. Like if you have documented issues with depression or anxiety, you're going to have a hard time going through that process.
Well, and we had a friend that went through a tough process with that, because it could be a situation where someone says, hey, here's a baby, and then you go there and they're like, oh, never mind, the mom didn't want to give them up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's a whole nother situation where you're just like, something is taken away from you. And I think that having, like, you're married to someone that you love and you care for so much, and to have like the best of you and the best of your partner in one is kind of something that's very rare. And so it's super important to keep that in mind. But I am just so thankful that you were, very open about talking about it. Was there anything else that you wanted to maybe point out or talk about? Or I see your notes.
I have lots of notes.
Wow.
I was nervous.
You're a teacher.
I am a teacher. The biggest thing is for people who, if you are dealing with someone who is going through infertility and you tell them that you're pregnant, or someone near you is pregnant or something like that, please just don't be offended if they cry or something like that, because I cannot say this enough. It's like, I'm happy for you, but I'm sad for me. That's probably how they're feeling. And those are not mutually exclusive. They can be happy for you and sad for themselves. And if you're going through infertility, just try not to isolate yourself. That was something that I had to go out of my way to make sure not to do, because I wouldn't have gotten through it. Like, it was really important for me not to isolate myself. So find the people who care about you and let them know what you're going through, because they want to be there. And if they're not they don't react in a way that's helpful for you, tell them how you need it, how you need to be loved.
Communication helps every time.
Yes.
So
just let them, just tell people what you need from them, or that's the biggest thing. So, and get professional help. If you're having a hard time with it, go see a reproductive endocrinologist. Look at IVF clinics. If you are in the DFW area, go see Dr. Q at Dallas IVF. They do not pay me. He was excellent.
This is a sponsored ad.
Yes. No. They're just, the whole staff there was so amazing. They went out of their way to make sure that I was okay. If you go to one of those clinics, you might be waiting a while and you're in the waiting room. That just means that they're taking their time with someone who's having something go wrong for them.
That's a good point.
They took their time with me whenever I had my bad day, when I lost all my eggs. So if you're waiting, that's why. So just understand that it's a process that takes some time. So be patient and go see a professional and seek out the people who love you.
Again, like, thank you for doing this. If anyone has any questions or anything that maybe we didn't touch on, feel free to message Hannah. She's super open about it.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. Me too.
And
I'm going to do it again. We want another baby. I'm not kidding. Yay.
I don't know how to react to this on live TV, so
We'll wait a little while.
going to end this on that note. Good luck, TJ. Thanks, guys.